Hey everyone, it's Alicia and I am here with Glenys, the 1935 Singer Featherweight in our latest restoration. And so I've got a few things that I want to talk about with this particular machine before I get into the actual test stitching and doing that demonstration. So this is the case that was sent with Glenys, and as all of you guys know, this is not an original Singer Featherweight case, which, hey, not a big deal. I mean, there's a lot of featherweight cases out there that people have gotten from Harbor Freight and have used. So it fits really nicely for the original tray. So the original tray is in there, and then the fabric on this particular case is different. It was a little bit harder to work with, and I cleaned it exactly how I do all of the other featherweight cases. Unfortunately, there are nicks and scratches within the fabric that unfortunately there was nothing that the polish was going to do for it. So we worked with what we had as best as we could. On the bottom of the case here, it did have a missing foot down here, and so we actually replaced all 4 of the feet with brand new feet, so it'll sit nice and flat on the ground. And I'll go ahead and take this tray out really fast so you can see inside the case. And then the other thing to note is the tray being an original tray, I did clean up the tray as best as I could. There are some rust spots, and here's the thing about the rust spots, and Glenys, if once you watch this you can let me know. I can paint this black. It's a hit or miss on how it ends up looking. Some of them look really, really well with the touch-up paint on here, and other ones don't. So it's really up to the person that this machine is going to as to whether or not they want that done. And since I won't be sending this machine out until Monday or Tuesday, there's still plenty of time to paint this and get this done. I just wanted to get the debut stitching out here for all of you. So earlier today, this is the actual belt that came on the machine, which honestly, by looking at it through the naked eye, it's in really good condition. It's a lugged belt, which you don't typically see on the black 221s. There are red ones that are on the white featherweights a lot. And so I was trying to see how this was going to sew, because I didn't want to replace a belt on here with a new belt if I didn't have to. Well, when I went to go wind a bobbin with this particular lugged belt, 2 things were happening. One, you've got all these little grooves in between each one of these lugs, and then also the top of this belt is not smooth. So what was happening when the bobbin winder was making contact with the belt, it was like it would spin and then stop, even though the motor would continuously go and the belt was going. This wasn't able to lay flat on the belt, and it greatly interfered with the bobbin winding itself. So we ended up replacing with a brand new belt on there, and we were able to successfully wind a bobbin. I will give this back to her and send this back with her machine, just so that way she has that. But I would not personally recommend using it. These were the test stitches that I did earlier. The machine sews really, really well. And so I'm going to actually do 2 things while I've got this camera up here. The first thing I wanted to make note is that a lot of people talk about their machine making a noise. And even when you get this machine back, before you start sewing, what I want you to do is actually put a drop of oil. I put a drop in each one of these little circle eyelets and down the side. That way it's just really lubricated, because it's spinning really fast, and having that well lubricated is going to keep from making a bunch of like clinking, clacking noises and things along that nature. So I totally recommend that you start with that, and you'll want to do that every time that you start sewing, just because once the machine sits, it just needs it. I've just noticed that it needs it. I can always tell when I forget to do it on Clickety because he's extra clickety. So what we'll do is we'll do a forward stitch like we generally do, a backward stitch, some meandering, and maybe even some different stitch lengths. I'm going to put my needle down. I'm going to turn my fabric, which kind of is going off here. And you always want to make sure that this is in the upmost position before you pull this, otherwise you're going to snag the thread. And then we'll go ahead and stick this here and stitch it backwards. And there is those test stitches. So what I'm going to do is re-go over the surface here on the machine with some wax, and then we'll do the glaze on there before we ship her out. If there is any questions or concerns on this machine, Glenys, please do not hesitate to let me know, and then that way we can touch base. And if everything looks a-okay to you, we can make plans to send her out sometime next week. And if there's certain things that we need to go over, just let me know that and we'll get that taken care of. So thank you all for tuning in to Featherweight 38, and we appreciate having each and every single one of you here.